Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about the iOS 16.2 and the changes that it brings. There are many changes that it brings, but I'm just going to be talking about 3 of the changes that I personally like. Do note that iOS 16.2 has been out for everyone to install for the past 3 to 4 weeks now. I've had it on my iPhone 14 Pro Max for the same time frame, and it's been pretty good. I would say it has been one of the best updates so far. iOS 16 has had a lot of the bugs. iOS 16.2 actually solves a lot of them. But rather than talking about bugs, I'm going to be talking about a couple of the new introductions with this update. For me, the update was around 5 gigs. Depending on the device you have, that may change. The 3 things that I'm going to be talking about in this video is the always on display, Apple Music Sing, and AirDrop. Let's start with the always on display. So the introduction of the always on display happened with iPhone 14 Pro and the iPhone 14 Pro Max with iOS 16. If you don't have iPhone 14 Pro or 14 Pro Max, you cannot have the always on display, which is pretty bad because Android users have been using always on display for many years now, and it's not based on you need to have this device, you need to have that device. Almost all of the Android devices do have always on display. It doesn't require you need to be on a certain version number. It doesn't require you to be on certain model of the phone. Majority of them do have this functionality. Some maybe not, but that would be very cheap Android phones. But majority of them do, even the budget ones. For iPhone, you need to have 14 Pro or 14 Pro Max, which is not good. I don't like it. But they introduced always on display with the 14 Pro and 14 Pro Max. What happened is Apple was too literal with the term always on. They ensured that the always on display was actually always on, meaning that you would be able to see your lock screen with clock, wallpaper, notifications, everything. A lot of the people, including myself, sometimes were confused thinking that the device was on, as in not locked. When I used to look at it, it was actually locked. It was just me being confused because it was too bright. And that led to losing a lot of the battery. In my own experience, turning the always on display feature on, I was losing about 7 to 10% battery. And when I had that always on functionality turned off, I was saving 7 to 10%, which was pretty drastic. 7 to 10% just for having that always on functionality was a lot. Android devices don't even come close to using that much battery, maybe 1% max. In my experience of using the Android device, whether it's on my Samsung Z Fold 4 or my Pixel 7, it doesn't use more than 1%. Even if I turn on the always on display on my Android devices and my phone is at 100%, I don't use my phone the entire day, maybe it'll be 99%. With the iPhone, it will continue to lose 7 to 10% battery. Even if you don't use your iPhone, it's at 100%, always on display is on. Your whole wallpaper is going to be eating up the battery. The phone is going to be bright. It's going to be eating up those 7 to 10%. With the introduction of iOS 16.2, Apple has addressed that. You get 2 additional toggles inside of the always on display settings. One of them is the ability to turn the wallpaper on and off depending on your personal preference, and the ability to show or not show notifications in the always on display. This will actually help you save battery life on your iPhone 14 Pro and the iPhone 14 Pro Max. If you are someone who likes to see wallpaper and notifications in your iPhone 14 Pro and 14 Pro Max, you can do that. But if you want to save battery, you want to have the always on display very similar to what the Android has, then you can turn off the wallpaper and you can also choose to turn off the notification on your always on display. Now, let's come to the Apple Music Sing. It is kind of like a karaoke functionality that Apple has introduced inside of the Apple Music. Majority of the tracks, your favorite tracks, when you play, in the lyrics section on the right side, you'll be able to see an interactive toggle where when you click on it, it actually turns into a volume slider, which you can scroll up or down, and it will control the default vocal of the track that you're playing. If the slider is all the way up, that means that the vocal is going to be full, loud. And if the slider is down, that means the vocal is going to be very minimal and you can sing along with it. So you have the power to control how high you want the vocal to be so that you can sing along. And this is going to be pretty fun when you have friends over at your place, or you're going to friends and you want to do something together, you know, rather than going up on YouTube and trying to find instrumentals when you have friends over. You can just take out your iPhone, connect it to some Bluetooth speakers, and then just enable the Apple Music Sing. When you do that, you can control the sliders, and then you can have like a karaoke sessions with your friend. And that's pretty amazing. The other thing is kind of like a security functionality that Apple introduced, and this is to do with the AirDrop. Now, you may have been a victim of being sent a request for AirDrop when you were in a public place, whether it be an airline or public transport, and someone is trying to be funny to send you some images via AirDrop. Before the 16.2, the AirDrop always had 3 settings: receiving off, contacts only, and everyone. Now with the 16.2, it's receiving off, contacts only, everyone for 10 minutes. What happens is if you do everyone for 10 minutes, basically during the 10 minutes of being turned on, everyone will be able to send you AirDrop, whether it be memes or whatever. But after the 10 minutes has elapsed from the point of being turned on, it's going to resort to the contacts only option so that no one else can spam you. Some people do this for fun, but not everyone wants to be a victim of getting unwanted messages or unwanted AirDrops, unwanted explicit images, stuff like that when you're in a public place. Some people could even be sending something malicious, which is not very ideal. And this is Apple's way of tackling that. So these were the 3 things that I found really interesting and I liked. If you haven't updated to iOS 16.2 yet, you should consider doing that. Generally, when we're talking about software, you don't really need to update as soon as a new software version is available. But what I would recommend is after maybe a day or 2 of wait, you should install it because it could have security patches that would be good to have on your device. And also it gives you a bit of breathing room that if something did get introduced in a public release for everyone, you're not going to be impacted because you waited a day or 2. You should not really install a software update as soon as it's available because sometimes mistakes can happen and some bug could end up reaching to public. So you don't want that. And it doesn't necessarily have to be public beta. It can happen in the main public release as well. So wait a day or 2, see how everyone is liking it, and then install it, because that way you're going to be ensuring that your device is the least impacted. That's it for now. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Till then, peace.